So I have had a lot of other hats to wear on in the past, but my primary area of expertise is business analyst, and I've been a trainer for last 4 years at least, and I have worked in multiple domains. Currently, I'm working with an airline industry. I have worked in insurance, telecom, a little bit of banking and pharma stuff. So the structure of this, the way I structured my trainings are, they are not domain specific. My objective is to train you guys free of any domain so that you can work in any domain. So I will focus core business analyst training. There are a few things that are very restricted to domain, like pharma domain and healthcare domain and financial domain. They have some specific requirements and specific terminologies and whatnot. I have not included those in my training because I want you to be as open as possible so that you can apply anywhere, and it comes with practice. Later on, you will learn what the specifics are for each industry. So let me have a quick introduction from everybody else as well. Munira, could you give us a few minutes of detail about your background and stuff like that?
Yeah. Hi. I'm a computer engineer by background, and since then I have like 5 years experience doing programming and stuff, and after that I was involved in my own business for the last 10 years.
Oh, wow. So now what makes you move towards business analyst side?
After doing programming and business, just trying to combine the two, I would like to step back into the software industry. So I thought this was the best route.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Okay, Toba, your turn.
I'm a CPA by profession. I was working as a CA in India, and I have worked for 6 to 8 years here too. And I was an auditor in my last job, and there was a lot of interaction between business, audit, and IT. And I've always been interested to apply more of IT in my in the finance field. And so that is how my I've been thinking about business analysis, and I thought this would be a good fit. So that's why now I'm venturing into business analysis.
Awesome. Seems like you both have done some homework, and you are not fresh out of the school, and you have realized the importance or the need of this change in your profession. So this is nice, because people who came right out of the school, they are just wondering around what to do. You know what you are heading towards, and you know what you need to add on in your resume and your profile. So I'm pretty impressed. That's good. So as I said earlier, I have. Yes, sir.
There is one more candidate, Nisha. Nisha, can you hear us?
Here.
Nisha, can you introduce yourself? And once you speak, just mute yourself so that we should not have any echo.
Okay. I think my interest with BA is similar to the other two people I heard. I also come from an IT background. I have a degree in MIS, but of course it's been 15 years now since I did any systems analysis and programming. So just want to go back, refresh. In between that, I had my own business that I was taking care of.
Awesome. Good. So seems like it's pretty experienced class here. Everybody has some experience already in a business or IT field. So it's going to be a very interesting mix. So let's start. As I said earlier, I have worked in multiple domains, in multiple roles, but BA has always been my core role, and I love to teach people. And the difference is I follow IIBA methodologies, and this is International Institute of Business Analysts. So I rely heavily on their guidelines rather than cooking my own stuff, and so that we will be aligned with the business analyst requirements and demands in the market. Another thing is, this is one of the most misunderstood professions. In my career, I have seen SMEs who work in one area for quite some time are labeled as business analyst, and they don't know much about anything other than this particular one role that they've been using. You can call them super user, you can call them SMEs, but BA is a bit higher, a lot more deeper than that. So let's start. My first screen is going to talk about the role of a BA. And there are a couple of main characteristics for a business analyst. Number one, he is always a liaison. He is always between IT and business. And we'll talk about it, why do you need a middleman? Because in this current trend of the market, we are cutting all the business middlemen so that we can have the better pricing. But why we are focusing on having a middleman when we are talking about IT and business and high, very expensive projects and stuff like that. So the second important thing is he's an enabler. His one of the main roles for a business analyst is to enable all other players to perform their job correctly. And third is he's a change agent. So he is talking on behalf of both parties, and wherever there is a delta, he is responsible to fill that gap. And these are high level. These are the three primary functions, and we'll elaborate on these three functions as these three roles as we move forward. So basically, who is a business analyst? The primary function for a business analyst is a liaison, a translator, a communication bridge between non-technical project stakeholders and technical solution team. So the reason you need a middleman is business speaks business language. They don't know about what's going on in technology-wise. And technology people are very, how should I say, they are very, very technology focused. They don't see the bigger picture. So like a tester or a developer, unfortunately they are always involved only on need to know basis in projects. So because the way the structure is, every meeting costs the industry a lot of money, a lot of time, because if we are inviting 10 people, and let's say for the sake of easiness, they all 10 are consultants. So each consultant is getting paid by, let's say, $100 an hour. And this meeting is to gather those requirements and whatnot. And 10 people are there. This meeting will cost company $1,000 worth of labor hours. And this is just one small example. So basically, they would not always want to have that many people who are not contributing. So they will be or not understanding exactly what it's going to be. So that's why business analyst comes into play. He is a guy who can understand, he is a person who can understand what exactly business wants, not only understand, can negotiate, elaborate, elicit gather a lot of detail level details about this operation that business is interested in, and then he can translate them back into a system language where a developer can understand what exactly a system was supposed to do, so that there will be no ambiguity. And in this globalized world, I believe the role of a business analyst become more and more important. As per my little research last couple months back, the growth in business analyst role is about 36% in last 5 years. So now the companies are realizing more and more that, okay, they need this person on the team so that there will be less project failures. About 65% of the projects are failed in industry in last 10 years data. I think it was collected in 2006, 2005 as per IIBA. 65% of the IT projects are failed because of incomplete or unclear requirements. So you can understand how much important this role is, and that is why there is a 36% growth in the demand of this business analyst role in the industry right now. Who is business analyst? The primary function provides decision support pertaining to acceptable risk through formal capture, analysis, and documentation of technical requirements. As I already said earlier, that his job is to the second piece of his job is to translate those business languages into technical language, and for that he will be using documentations, and those documentations will cover in our classes further on. Business requirement documents, technical requirement documents, system requirement documents, and so on and so forth. So next, other functions of a BA role is facilitator, a moderator, skilled listener, team leader, visionary, troubleshooter, SME or domain expert. It's not always the case, and project manager. The reason some of these roles like a team leader and project manager are also expected from a business analyst, because he is kind of a project manager. He is managing. Initially, when the project is kick off, there is a project manager and whatnot, but on a day-to-day basis, if we are not talking about agile, and we'll cover that in our classes, we are talking about non-agile projects. A project manager is managing several projects at a time, but a business analyst is managing his own team, like the developers, his own QA people, and subject matter experts. So he's back and forth and in communication constantly throughout the project. So he is managing, if not the entirely, but partially, he is also managing the project. So as a business analyst, once you gain few years of experience, you will be transitioning yourself into project management as well, if you like. So the subject matter expert or domain expert, yes, if you stay with one company and one domain as a business analyst, you will be as good as a subject matter expert, because you will be maybe much better than him, because you will be using all his knowledge, all his skills, documenting them, and learning about the business operation, which is more important than systems itself. So you will become a very valuable asset for that company if you stay longer with that company. Any questions so far? So here is an example of why you need a business analyst in an organization. So the developer says the system returns data where the open date is before the from date, and the close date is after the from date, or the open date is before the to date and the close date is after the to date. Can anyone understand what this means?
Nisha.
Yes, Nisha.
Sorry, got disconnected.
Oh, sorry. So can you see I just shared this joke or this on the screen, and it's about how the developer talks to business. And do you understand what exactly he's trying to say? Because
no,
I don't.
I missed that completely. I didn't hear anything. The line got disconnected.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, it's a technical specification about, what is the date on the data, and so the business analyst converts it into, that identifies that it's a range, and that's the value. So
exactly. the technical people always talk in technical language, in technical jargons and whatnot, and business always use business language. So there is a disconnect between the two, and especially in this globalized world, fortunately or unfortunately, most of the technical people are non-native Americans, either Chinese or Indians or Russians or somewhere else in South America, and they are not native speaker of English. So business usually stays here. Business people don't, you cannot offshore business people. Business people are always here. And being a business analyst, you will be here. This job is rarely, I have not seen any business analyst role being offshore. And the primary reason is that the most important part for business is to have somebody who understands the culture, the norms, the values, and the business in this country. So technical people you can offshore, you can, and that's unfortunately, this joke is a very, very accurate depiction of what's happening in the IT industry. Technical people only speak technical language with very few understandable comments and statements, and business people have a very huge disconnect with the technical people. So that's where you come into play, and you become the bridge between the two. And a good BA is as valuable as a SME, or maybe more, because he already developed a relationship with the people offshore who are doing the work for him. Those people have no exposure to business people, and business people has no exposure to these people who are actually writing the codes. So this guy is the connection between the two worlds. Okay. Another situation that you will came across is business has very limited understanding of how IT works, or how this project should be concluded. They just know one thing, that this is my deadline and I want it to be ready by then. That's it. And you will hear a lot of requests like that okay, I want it done ASAP. I want to have it complete by this date or by that date. Even in some cases, you will not even get a right person to give you requirements. And then you become more than a business analyst. You become kind of an investigator or something. Half of my day-to-day work in my current position is to investigate and explore things where they are left 30 years, 15 years back. You apply reverse engineering, you apply a lot of other techniques to gather the requirement, to take the requirements out of the system if there is no subject matter expert is available, or if the subject matter expert is not incorporative, or there are so many other reasons that you have to get into the system yourself and see how the system is behaving and what are the improvements. Or sometimes business will just ask you to improve the system. I'm sick and tired of using this system. Give me something easier, better. And in that case, you will do your research. You will find out who are the industry leaders, who are the competitors, how they are doing business, investigate about their operations, understand their processes and stuff like that, and then come back with recommendations to business. That this is my investigation. This is all the improvements we can make. Do you agree? So it's not always starting from the requirement gathering. It can be from any size, any area. You have to pick up this project and run with that. Any questions so far? Okay, so business analysis process, in a sunny day scenario, you interview, you discuss with SMEs, you gather some details from the SMEs, and then you go your own way and you cook your own, add on a lot of details on top of it, you complete a lot of, you draw business process, how you understand it, you draw to-be processes, you capture, as I said, based on your research and analysis from other competitors, you provide a lot of recommendations and whatnot, and then you produce those documentation for the developers to build the product on, and then you come back with the final product. So in business world, they just give you what they want, and then you're on your own, you do your own magic, and then you will deliver what they are looking for. That's the high-level image a business analyst has in a business world, not in the IT world, but in the business world, that this guy can make anything happen, and just tell him what he wants. If you are successful enough, big enough business analyst, this is what you will hear from business. Just tell him what you want, and he will make it happen. And a seasoned BA is somewhat like that. After working in the industry for 8-10 years, you will become one of those people who will just make things happen, because you know how it's done and who is the right person to make it happen, and so on and so forth. So any questions? So far you haven't asked me a single question. So is this something you have an understanding about, or this is something different from what you thought the business analyst role is like? And so give me some feedback.
Yeah, this is kind of on the same, you're touching all the points that I'm familiar with. So, and this is engaging too. So.
Okay. Anybody else?
I think we're understanding where it's taking us for right now, so we're good.
Yeah, pretty much I get the idea of where we are, what a business analyst is, so
okay.
So far so good.
Good. So let's have some since it's a demo, we'll have a few more details about how the IIBA explains what the BA role is, and see if we are aligned with their expectations, because the International Institute of Business Analysts, it's the authority, is the institution that manages all the roles and responsibilities and about the business analyst. So the objective, the fundamentals of business analyst, objective, definition of business analyst and business analyst profession, exploring the knowledge areas of business analysis, definition of requirement and its types, understand the different requirements, elicitation and requirement gathering. So in the beginning, there was a chaos. Few years back, 10, 12 years back, maybe a little bit more, nobody knows who the business analyst is. Everybody tries to talk to business directly, and business gives requirement back to, not even requirement, just the dictation back to IT, and this was going on for a while, and 65% of the projects failed because of that. Project was like a battlefield. Nobody was accountable for one thing, or nothing has been structured in a way it is these days. Business says one thing and then comes back for another thing, and so on and so forth, and the projects are delayed, the costing is sky the roof. So then this institute came into existence, I believe in 2004, IIBA, and they started just like PMO. This is another organization that controls the regulations and expectations of this role. So a lot of work was being done, but it was not always productive. When I said, like I said earlier, everybody is giving requirements to everybody, and everybody is doing gathering the requirement, and nobody is responsible for nothing. So that was the reason this many number of projects failed in the past, and the methodologies as well. So we'll touch upon the methodologies in our other training sessions. So little later on, organization invested in project management practices. Then PMO office came into existence, and they decide to plan the 4 fundamentals of PMO for the project lifecycle are to plan first, then build, then test, and then implement. And even then, there was some failures. Not every project was completed on time, on budget, or with all the functionalities discussed or agreed upon. And why it doesn't work? So this is the data from 2006. Only 16.2% of the projects will be completed on time and on budget. About 40 to 56% of the project conflicts can be traced to requirement errors. So 56%, up to 56% errors were because of the requirement, and the requirements were not captured correctly. Findings and fixing requirement error consumes 70 to 85% of the project rework cost. So if the requirements are not gathered correctly, we all have played that game in the past when a kid tells something in someone else's ear, and then that person will tell it to someone else's ear, and so on and so forth, and at the end it comes out completely different. So that was happening in the industry before IIBA took over and put those principles in place. So the average project exceeds its planned time schedule by 120%. About 52.7% of the projects will cost 189% of their original estimate. So almost double, almost 200%, right? About 30% of the projects are cancelled before completion. And this is a funny story. I was a part of a project at Verizon, and it was started on the wrong foot. They didn't have a business analyst to start the project, so they had a couple of developers, and they gave them the responsibility to collect the requirements. I had first-hand experience. I mean, I joined this project after 4 months or so, and I was the only BA, and I realized, oh wow, there is no such thing as requirement, only some sketches, that's it. And we had no time to go back and recapture those requirements because business was completely out of the picture. They were like, we already spent 4 months giving you requirements, we cannot go back and do this again, just start building the project. And the first release, it was clear that we are not going to complete this project, and the project was sacked after first release. They were like, it was about 2.5, 3 years of project, and for 6 months we lost the project because wrong people started the project and the requirements were not captured correctly, and there you go, you lost all the money, time and everything, plus that 3 years worth of work is gone. So the conclusion, typical project expends least effort on requirement analysis, which is very, very true, which is where most error originates and whose error costs most to fix. So unfortunately enough, now it's not the case. Requirement gathering or requirement analysis is the biggest chunk of the project, if not the biggest, is one of the biggest. So earlier in the past, requirement gathering and testing was the smallest timeline. The major focus was on developing the code. But if you do not know what you are doing, how can you succeed? So now, most of the projects that I have had in the past, I'm handling right now, the first phase, requirement analysis, gets about 40%, if not more, at least 40% ballpark time to get the requirement, clean the requirement, and complete your documentation and whatnot. And the coding will get about, the development work will get about 15%-ish time, and testers will get about 10 to 15% of the time. So it's much, much better. You invest more time in the beginning rather than in the middle and then fail. So that's a good news for all new people who are coming into the industry. So, and that's why project doomed. Now the complete picture is they add business analyst phase to the project management phase. So you describe the requirements, you define the requirements, then you start the planning, then you start the building, testing, and implementation. So if you go back in the previous picture, you are starting from the plan, build, test, and implement. Now we describe first what exactly the business is, what exactly the business wants, and stuff like that, and then define the requirements on top of that. These two pieces have made a significant change in the industry outcome. What do these words mean anyways? So when we say describe and define, so system analyst, systems engineer, architect, business system analyst, business analyst, analyst programmers. So if you see, most of the people here are from analyst background. So analysis become a key factor in every project plan. So IIBA defines a business analyst as the set of tasks and techniques used to work as a liaison among stakeholders to understand the structure, policies, and operations of an organization. So it is very important to understand that if you don't know the structure of your organization or the policies and operations of your organization, you can never deliver the right product. And to recommend solutions that enable the organization to achieve its goal. This is the definition of business analyst from IIBA, and I designed my complete course structure around it. I want my students to learn how to ask better questions so that you can get deeper level requirements, not just listen what business wants and come back and document that. Analyze as well, and if you have recommendations, don't be shy. Make recommendations. Like I worked half of my career almost in telecom industry. I have worked with almost every single telecom in the United States. I worked with AT&T and Verizon, T-Mobile, Israel Telecom, Saudi Telecom, Comcast, Lucent. So when I move from one project to another, I know I can make recommendations. Okay, why are we doing this thing this way? Because your competition is doing it this way, or we have others in the industry are doing it this way or this way. So you become, with a seasoned BA, after 8-10 years of experience, you become somebody who's not only just a BA, who works as a consultant for the company as well. You consult, you provide your consultation, you provide your recommendation, and business usually is little flexible as compared to IT people. Business people do like to listen recommendation coming from somebody who's aware of the environment. A business analyst works as a liaison among stakeholders in order to elicit, analyze, communicate, validate requirements for changes to the business process, policies, and information system. So the key here is under business processes and policies. You are developing a product to fit the business needs, business process, not the other way around. And that's where I believe the mistake happens. People want to have all the bells and whistles and develop the best software and whatnot, and they lose the focus from the business needs, the business process. And that is the job of a business analyst to control the interest of the business first. No matter how complicated, how amazing looking system is, if it's not solving the business purpose or business needs, it's useless. I believe in 2008, when the first iPhone came in, and nobody liked the iPhone in the beginning because it has no button. And the objective was to create something which you can touch and feel, so that a user will have a very real-time user experience. And that revolution changed the world completely. Now every gadget, every device is a touch screen. You talk about iPad, you talk about ordering systems, you talk about cash registers, you talk about cell phones, you talk about the business process or the business motive was to enhance the human interaction with the systems. And what happened was, now less than 3-year-old, a 2-year-old can operate a cell phone. He or she can operate a device, iPad or all those things. You don't need much user training. The business motive, the business objective behind was to create an interface direct with the system and user, between the system and the user. And we all know what happened after that. I mean, the whole industry started doing the same thing. Every gadget, every machine, even the printers, even whatever you call, photocopier machine, everything has a touch screen now. So they realized that when you create the direct interaction between the system and the machine and the people, you get better results. Putting the business analyst in context, actually, this is a very good depiction of the role of a business analyst. You are a circus master, basically. As a business analyst, it's just like running a circus. You have project management on one side, you have solution people on the other side, you have subject matter expert on one side, and you have business owners on one side. And they all do not talk to each other directly. You are the ringmaster. You are the person who is managing all the communication, managing all the expectations, managing everything and anything between all these different group of people. So you can imagine how important this role is. And as you said earlier, one of the major responsibility of a business analyst is be very, very clear about his communication. A very good listener and a very good speaker. You need to know, plus your documentation skills. You need to know what you're talking about, and there should be no ambiguity in any sort of your communication, whether written or spoken or otherwise. Usually, this is a cartoon, and we use this cartoon a lot for how the requirements are. Business gives you a very, very vague requirement, what they want, and every person in the world understands that requirement differently. Someone will build a swing with the most bells and whistles, like this picture, and someone will not understand it completely what they want. And that's your job, is to understand exactly what business wants. When I say exactly, you have to be 99.9% sure what business wants. Otherwise, if you have 1% of ambiguity in your requirement, that 1% of the people sitting miles and miles, thousands of miles away from you will almost always take that 1% of ambiguity and develop their software, their product as per that 1% of unclear documentation or unclear requirement. So it is very important to learn how to be very clear in your communication. And in this course, we'll discuss all those techniques and whatnot. Okay. So there are, on a high level, you can categorize the requirements in 3 main categories. There are business requirements, and there are user requirements, and there are system requirements. So when you, as a BA, you gather business requirements, high-level statements of the goal, objectives, or needs of the enterprise. And there are multiple methodologies that you apply as a business analyst. Either you use Agile, or you use Waterfall, or you use RUP, or you use any other methodology. It all depends what the project is about. If the project is very small, very short, and everybody knows what they are doing and whatnot, applying an Agile is an overkill. But if the project is complicated and you have a lot of players and a lot of requirements and a lot of communication needs to be happen, then you have to put the agile. Like you can use a hammer to put a nail in the wall, and you can use a hammer to put a screw in the wall as well. But if you use a hammer to put a screw in the wall, you destroyed the purpose of the screw. You should have used a nail, because the screw is something you use when you can change your mind and take it out and put it back again, and so on and so forth. A nail is a permanent fix, right? If you take a nail out, then usually it's not going to come out straight. So using those tools is where the key is. All the tools are out there, everything is out there, but you need to know where to apply what. And that's what we are going to learn in this training, where to apply what methodology and why, different techniques and the different tools that you use as well. The second type of requirements are called user requirements, statements of the needs of a particular stakeholder or a class of stakeholders. So within a group, if you are asked to develop a product or an application or software, and there are multiple users, like my example right now, I'm working on a pilot debriefing system, in which pilots will provide their debrief. Because if anything happens on the flight, a pilot is supposed to notify that to the authorities. And those debriefs are reviewed by base admins and chief pilots who are sitting on each base. So there are two different users. One wants just to read and report, create a report on top of it. The other wants it to be as easy for him to put in the details. So when I'm talking to one group, particularly about their work, it's called user requirement. What exactly this particular group of people wants. But business requirement is a higher level, which covers the complete project, what exactly this project will about. And then comes the system requirements, which describes the behavior and information that the solution will manage. So how the information will flow, which system will talk to which system, or which data is coming from which system, and so on and so forth. Your requirements has the principle of business requirements are to have 4 C's. Number 1 is complete. Requirement should be complete. You cannot have an incomplete statement or a requirement that can be interpreted in 2 ways or more. It has to have a very clear sense. That comes to the next point, clarity. It has to be very, very clear language-wise or sense-wise. Correctness. You have to validate what you are going before you put it in front of other person to work on. And consistency. You have to maintain the consistency of your requirement throughout the throughout your documentation process. You cannot use, for example, in Agile, the requirements are called user stories, and they are written in a separate, different format, and that we'll discuss in the class. In non-Agile projects, there is no such format. You cannot capture half the requirement in Agile format and half the requirement in some other format. If you are following Agile, then you are following all the rules of Agile and all the recommendations of Agile and best practices of it. Business analysis knowledge areas, business analysis planning and monitoring, enterprise analysis. So you need to do the analysis on the industry, the company that you are working for, your domain, elicitation, then requirement analysis, then solution assessment and validation. And requirement management and communication comes after that, and then underlying competencies and stuff like that. So what is enterprise analysis? Basically, you are involved in feasibility studies. If this project is feasible, time-wise, fund-wise, and whatnot. Like one of my projects right now, I'm working for legal department, and they have an old system running, and they want to make a change in that system. There is a PR open and whatnot, and when we gathered some estimates from the development team, it's costing us as much as buying a new system. And that old system is about 11, 12-year-old, and we are planning to upgrade that system anyways. So it doesn't make sense for next 4, 5, 6 months to spend the same amount of money to change one functionality about an old system which we are going to throw away anyways in next 6 months, because we are buying a new one. So that's called feasibility study. Then high-level risk assessment. Another example, like high-level risk assessment is my company is going through a major merger, and there are a lot of small projects always going on, and every project that business creates, we analyze, okay, how much time and effort it's going to take. Is it going to be a threat to the bigger picture, bigger project that everybody's relying on? If it is, then we cannot take that risk. If it's not, it's small enough, it's not intersecting with any other path that we have designed for the bigger project, we will say, okay, we can probably do that. And then the business case. There has to have a business case for every project. What exactly business is trying to get out of it? So this is enterprise level analysis. Not always a BA is involved in that. Once you are a senior BA of 6 to 8 years with that company, you will get involved in that level of analysis, but this is something not for every BA. Then the requirement planning and management. So what methodology will be used on the project? As I gave the example earlier, this is if it's a huge project, a lot of parties involved, a lot of communication is needed, a very high risk project, you are better off applying Agile. But if it's a small project, you're making a small change here and there, it's very well defined, maybe a government mandate or something, and government wants you to have this or that. Like, let's say if your company is somehow is in financial industry and dealing with dictated by financial, finance department or something about some rates or something you are charging, and they want you to raise or drop that rate or something else. It's because it's basically one-way direction of information. You cannot go back and negotiate with the government or the authoritative body over your industry. It's a new rule, it's a new mandate, it has to be done this way. Then Agile is an overkill for that. It has to go through a waterfall or some other methodology. Or the second thing is, how will requirements be elicited? So that's where I mentioned earlier that it's not always interviewing the SMEs. It's not always getting information from SMEs. Sometimes there are no SMEs, or the last person who knew about the system is gone, long gone, and there's no documentation. Or there is some documentation. So how I can go back to the documentation, review the documentation, and make my requirement out of it, or I can investigate how the industry is doing and then create requirements out of that, or I can log into, do some reverse engineering and get back to the current system and understand what it is doing, what it is not doing right, and stuff like that, and then capture the requirement. So with time you will develop those skills as well. Requirement elicitation. So what is requirement elicitation? Basically, requirement elicitation is not requirement gathering. In the past, you must have heard this terminology a lot of times, requirement gathering. Basically, requirement gathering is not the right way of capturing requirements, basically. Requirement gathering means you are just collecting or getting what business wants to give it to you. You are not asking the right questions. You are just taking things what beggars can't be choosers kind of a philosophy. You are just getting assigned something and you just work with that. Elicitation is different. Elicitation means you explore, you investigate, you ask more questions, and then you draw conclusion or get more findings out of it. So it's a different, slightly different way of looking at it, and it's more successful way of doing the requirements. Then getting all the real requirements right. So as a business analyst, you need to understand what requirements are the real requirements, are the dependencies, which requirement has dependency and which requirement has no dependency, and you focus more on those requirements that are, let's say, parent requirement versus a child requirement. So you need to know the real requirement, what exactly is the real requirement, and then there are bells and whistles and other things that business wants to add on to this project, and that you don't need to focus on that. You need to focus mainly on the real requirement, and the first thing is you have to identify the real requirement, what business actually wants, because in most of the cases, they don't really give you a clear idea of what exactly they want. So elicitation, the definition of elicitation, to draw forth or bring out. So when you say bring out, it means you ask them the relevant questions, the follow-up questions, so that you understand what exactly they want. Sometimes business will just tell you, okay, I just want this to go away. What do you mean by go away? I mean, go where? You don't want to see this data or this form or this button on your screen, or you want it to move somewhere else, and why? Why go away? Where will we store this data? If this data is not required for you, or you just use it very rarely so that you don't want to have it on your face or on everyday report. Let's say there are 20 reports that our system generates for this user, and he only used 3 of them on a regular basis. The remaining 17 are once in a blue moon, and he does not like to see this many reports every day. So, but the once in a blue moon means you have to capture that data somewhere, and it should not be. It should be a on-demand reporting, not a mandatory reports that system generates every day, or so on. So that's how you need to elicit the requirement. That's the difference between gathering and elicitation of the requirement. And we'll talk about more on this technique as well. So requirement, how can we elicit requirement? We can use interviews. We do interviews for that. We use surveys. I never used surveys in the past. Meetings, focus groups, observation, prototyping, and we'll talk about all these in details. What is a prototyping and what is a mock-up and stuff like that. So in requirements elicitation, we can where can we go to elicit requirement? So we can talk to the business users, business managers, executives, programmers, or other BAs, old systems, and go to the web and see how the others are doing this operation, and so on and so forth. So requirement gathering is mainly like talking to the user and get the requirement out of it. Elicitation means going beyond just one person, going beyond to that one user and one option, one window, and look for other venues for the information as the requirement as well. Requirement analysis and documentation, 2 tasks, big knowledge area, modeling. So when you are talking about modeling, it talks about ERD, process flows, use cases. In documentation, requirement specification documentation, design documentation, system requirement documentation, and so technical requirement documentation. So there could be multiple kind of documentation, but it varies from project to project and organization to organization. Some organizations are very strict about their documentation, and they have templates for every single thing. Some organizations are very easy on that, and they do not follow any template on whatnot, and they will let you decide however you want to document. In majority of the cases, the templates are already there. As a BA, when you join, you will be assigned, you will get an access to a SharePoint or some data repository where old documentation is kept, or the templates are kept, and a project manager will give you a walkthrough who the business analysts are, or who the previous person is who's leaving the job, who you will be taking over, whose role will you be taking over, all the players, and all the previous documentation are stored here and there, our templates and stuff like that. So it's not like you will be pushed into an organization and then you will find your you'll have to do everything from the scratch. In this day and age, every organization has templates and they have some systems in place, so which means you do not have to recreate anything from scratch. Everything is already there. You have to leverage those information and then those material on. Requirement communication, communicate requirement back to the stakeholder. One of the primary responsibility of a business analyst is to always be in touch with the stakeholders. Stakeholders are the people who are sponsoring the project or they have some stake in that project. So let's say you are developing a project for sales department and the sales VP is sponsoring. So the money for this project is coming out of the sales department's budget. And he assigned you a couple of subject matter expert in sales and whatnot. So your job is, when you complete your requirement, you always take it back to your stakeholders for validation purposes. You always keep them in the loop that how much more reviews or how much more requirements you need, and so on and so forth. And reviews mostly, everything has to be reviewed by the stakeholders. And small knowledge area, then you maintain a documentation or somewhere where they can go back and see how much progress has been made and stuff like that. Solution assessment and validation, evaluate and select a solution. Assist with developer, testing and QA people. Assist with implementation teams. And then post-implementation review. So you as a BA will be involved in almost the complete SDLC cycle from the get-go. From the very beginning till the very end, you are up front. You are the first person to kick off the project. I would say start, because start means the funding and all those things, they are done by other people. From requirement gathering till the user acceptance test, you will be with the business and you will be holding their hands and walking them through all the stages. At the same time, you will be in touch with the developers and QAs and other people in every phase of your project. So it's a very involved role which requires a lot of communication, a lot of discipline, a lot of organization, and that's for our demo today. If you guys have any questions, please ask. You guys there?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions?
No, this is good.
Yeah.
Somebody saying something?
No.
Okay, so let me share the outline, the course outline we will be covering for this training. It's a very lengthy outline. Can you see my screen? Can you guys see my screen? Yes, no, maybe?
Yes,
Yes.
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 Okay, so we structured this course in 8 classes basically, and we start from the very beginning. We'll discuss from the SDLC process. We'll cover SDLC process, business problems, what is a project, who are the sponsor roles of each individual in the project, all the business terminologies and stuff like that, and the responsibilities of a BA in our session 1. In our session 2, we'll be covering the typical ID landscape, the SDLC main components. We'll talk about the business process flows, how to develop a business process flows, how to gather these requirements, what are functional, non-functional, security, business reporting requirement, notification requirement, whatever, all the kind of requirements. Then we'll cover basically a project. We'll have an exercise of requirement gathering. We'll be assigning a small project to you guys based on my real world experience, and you will develop a small BRD. And as we continue, we'll add on after each class, the assignment I'll give you an assignment which will be to add something else, something more in your requirement document that you are creating. So the objective is at the end of this training, 8 weeks of training, you will develop a real BRD. You will learn how to gather requirements, you will learn how to develop process flows, you will learn how to do use Visio for diagrams, you will learn how to you will learn the entire landscape of the IT infrastructure in each organization, and so on and so forth. In the next third phase of the training, the third class of the training, we'll talk about type of data, we'll talk about gap analysis, we'll talk about what the wireframes are, what are the workflows are, what are the activity diagrams and stuff like that. In the fourth class, we'll create use cases and user stories. We'll talk about different methodologies. We'll talk about waterfall versus agile. And I mainly focus on agile because this is what everybody is looking for these days, and this is the most successful methodology in the market right now. So we'll teach you a full class on agile, because in agile things are done very differently from a typical methodology like waterfall and RUP. We'll cover some database concepts like SQL. We'll learn a little bit about SQL, how we use SQL for querying the databases, what the tables are, primary keys and stuff like that. We'll cover a lot of testing related stuff as well, like all sort of testing, from UAT to end-to-end testing to, just a second, I updated my, hold on a second, just give me a second. Sure. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I cleaned up my course outline, and I was not sharing this document. So we'll talk about what the PMO is. We'll talk about the JAT session, the storyboard in the second week. The third week we'll create a BRD. We'll learn a lot of things about gap analysis, frameworks, activity diagrams, prototyping and stuff like that, different types of data, what is statical data, what is variable data and stuff like that. On the fourth one, we'll talk about creation of use case, and that's where we'll, user stories and use case, that's where we'll cover the agile. This whole class and maybe more will dedicate on agile. And after each class, you will be getting some assignments. So it's not just me talking to you guys. I will be assigning you some work based on my real experience, and you will add on that work into your business in your BRD. So we'll meet once a week or twice a week, and then the rest of the week you will work on the assignment I gave you. And next class we'll review the assignment, and then we'll move forward, make some corrections and so on and so forth, and go forward from that. I will also cover agile tool called Rally. Basically, Rally is the tool which is used in the industry. It's very hot in the industry right now. You write your user stories in Rally. You create your testing in user story. You create your defects and whatnot in user story in Rally. So we'll cover our session on Rally as well, and some databases and some database concepts, SQL and stuff like that on the class number 6. And then the final one will do, this should be class number 7, we'll do introduction, all the testing related class. It will talk about all the functional testing, regression testing, UAT, negative testing, and stuff like that, and how to write a test case and stuff like that. So in some organizations, a BA is required to write a test case. In others, they are not required to write a test case. So it's good to know you can do your test cases as well, stuff like that. So this is the structure for the next 8 weeks. And I don't know if we are going to do Saturday or Sunday, or maybe just Sunday. So we'll find out more as we go. And if you have any questions, please ask any relevant question to the class and stuff like that. If you do not have any, go ahead.
When do you expect the classes to start? Would you say next weekend?
We are planning to, this is Ahmad, we are planning to start classes most probably from next Sunday. That is going to be 17th, and normally till our last batch, what we usually do is we do have a class, weekend class that is on Sunday evening. And normally we started around 8 o'clock of Central Time, and on weekend normally we do around 2 to 2.5 hour class, and we used to have one class on weekdays which used to be around 1 and 1.5 hours. So we used to depend based on majority of the students who are comfortable. We can decide we can have one Sunday class and we can have one Tuesday, Wednesday or Thursday, whatever everyone is comfortable. Both classes in the evening, and again Sunday class will be a little longer and weekdays class will be shorter. So but if let's suppose lots of students in coming this class, if they are interested to have the classes on Saturday and Sunday, we can do that. The main objective and aim is we wanted to have classes at the same time, so we don't want to disturb the personal lives of each and everyone, because normally people on Friday and Saturday, they are busy on their own, outings or parties and etc. So this is what we strongly suggest, having a class on Sunday evening and one class on weekdays evening.
Okay, sure.
So if you could you please put on the mute? Okay. So my one big request to you all: if you want to be a business analyst, then please learn to ask questions. Okay. Even if you understand something 100%, just to be sure, just repeat that thing. Okay, this is what my understanding is. Is it what you are trying to say? Develop this habit to ask question after every discussion. Because as a business analyst, this is your job to ask more. If you do not ask more, you will not get more. And in requirements, this is always the case. Business will give you only the tip of the iceberg, and they assume that you will understand everything about it. And if you say, okay, and you leave, then you will not get a second chance sometimes to go back and ask more. So develop this habit to ask more and more questions. Nothing is stupid. You are in the best role to be stupid. You are going in as a first person for this project. You can be as illiterate, as stupid, as annoying as you want to. And nobody is going to complain that this guy asked too many questions. This is what your job is. Ask too many questions. But just don't ask the same question again and again and again. You know what I mean? So in other courses, in other classes, it's fine. In other profession, it's fine to hide behind your screen and do your work. If you are looking for that kind of a lifestyle, then this is not for you. You are not the person who's hiding behind the screen. You cannot afford to hide behind the screen. You are always, I spend 60%, if not more, at least 60% of my time not working on my desk. I am meeting somebody, I'm chasing somebody, I'm having some discussion with somebody somewhere. Only 40% of your time is behind your screen when you are writing the documentation. 60% of the work is to investigate, find the right person, meet with them, and so on and so forth. So please come out of your shell, start asking questions. Okay? So if there is no more comments, we can go ahead.
Hi, I have a question. I know you said this course is for 8 weeks, composing of few weekdays and weekends. I'm not sure if you do this, but is there any boot camp like they do, like in 1-2 weeks straight, Monday to Friday or something, and finish up the course quickly and start working on it?
Unfortunately, I do not recommend that because, first of all, I work full time myself, so I don't have time for all that. Sometimes I come back 6:30, 7 o'clock, and then sometimes I come back at 5:30, so I cannot commit on this because weekdays are sometimes you have a crazy day and you have to stay late and whatnot. Secondly, it's not something you can memorize and learn and go and do. Because business analyst is not a technical role. It's kind of a mix of both, little bit technical and a lot of behavior role. It is a personality that you have to develop. You learn some tools and techniques, but it's a total different personality that you have to develop. You are learning how to use things, but you are learning another skills that cannot be, I don't see there is any injection of something that I can put in you guys and within 1 week you will learn all of it. I can teach you tools and stuff like that, but the techniques and how to develop that personality of capturing the requirements and exploring the world is something which will take some practice. Even 2 weeks training is 8 classes are very short, and I would not suggest to go up. It's not a tool that you are learning. A tool you can learn in 5 days, 3 days, 2 days. It's a mix of all the tools and then how to use them as well. So for business analysts, I don't see a boot camp, successful boot camp.
Okay, thank you. And just quickly, how would you compare the role of a business analyst and a QA? Just because how in some places they're both linked together.
Okay. How I compare business analyst with a QA? There's a world of difference between a QA and a business analyst. Business analyst is the guy who drives the whole project, almost drives the whole project. A QA is, sorry if I offend somebody, but a poor QA is a bottom feeder. This guy is told this is what you need to test, and that's it. He is the last person in the project. So he always gets the very limited attention and very little time to complete the QA, the testing. He doesn't care what the requirement was as long as his test case is doing what he's been told. That's it. So QA is first of all, he's not an analyst, so he's not analyzing anything. He is just executing. In some cases, there are two kinds of testing. There is automated testing and there is a manual testing. In manual testing, you just manually input that information and see if the system is spitting out the required result. In automated testing, there is a script that probably developers will write for you, and you, as a QA, you go in and plug in that script and execute and see, oh, okay, the entire script is running the way it was supposed to run. That's it. So a QA is 1/10 or maybe less of a BA when it comes to the responsibilities and the workload and everything else. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. And so I know like this is a short class, and then will we get like help with resumes and placements and stuff after the class?
Okay, that's Brother Ahmed question.
Yes, basically we are IT staffing company. We are in the business of placing people on the job, and after successful completion of the training, we will assist you in resume preparations, and we will do the placement assistance as well, because we do get a lot of requirement on these technologies, and we will place the candidate. And I want to clear one more thing, like when Zishan says that it is going to be about 8 weeks class, normally we always target the class to finish in 4 to 6 weekends. But sometimes, based on our student, what kind of audience we get, if we do have lot of questions and answer sessions, so we might not be able to cover the topics what we plan for. So in that case, we will go around 7 to 8 weekends. But normally we always try to finish the course in 4 to 6 weekends, 2 classes in a week. And as I said, if we have a lot of question and answer, it may go longer, but always we plan for 4 to 6 weekends.
Thank you.
And not only that one, when you go, normally we train up to a level that when you get a job, you will be in a position to work independently 70-80%. But as I said, if you work through us, definitely we will help you in supporting on job also if you have any issues and these things. So we will do that as well.
Oh, nice. How many years of experience will you show like in our resume?
It again depends. It again depends. Once you complete your training, we will assess you where you are standing. Based on that and based on your previous experience, we will decide that one. This is something which we will decide after completion of the training, but definitely we need that. I hope you got my point.
Yes, thanks.
So are you going to send a separate email as to how to go about signing up for the classes and stuff like that?
Yeah, you basically just let us know how many of you are going to register for the classes. The fee for the class is $500, and you have to register by paying the fee. And as I said, we are planning to start from 17th of this month, which is going to be Sunday evening, or maybe if for some reason if there is some more requests for demo, we may push it to 19th or 20th of this month, but I'm not seeing that happening. So we will start the classes on 17th Sunday evening. So I will send you.
I understand you got
Sorry?
Like your main interview.
Your voice is breaking. Is this Munira?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
When I saw it showed that it's based out of Texas.
No, actually we have selected some. We are not based in Houston, Texas. Our company is San Antonio based company, but for the advertisement we have to select some cities. So we normally place advertisement on different cities, but our company is based in San Antonio. And again, this is going to be an online training. It really doesn't matter wherever you are located. That's fine. And as I said, our main objective of conducting this training is we will not make any money from whatever we are charging. Our aim is to place candidates on job, and once you complete the training, our main goal and target always will be to place students on the job as soon as possible after completion of the training.
So once we finish the training, will we have making up of the resume, interview questions, some prep?
Yeah, that's what my point is. When I say job placement assistance means we want you to ready for the job. Like, we will assist you, we will advise you how to prepare your resume, we will advise you, we will share with you a lot of, how to prepare for the interview, what kind of questions you can expect in the interview, and even before the interview, we will if required, we can have one-on-one session with you, and we will explain each and everything on that part. And the aim is we have to place you on job. That is our aim. So we do get requirement, and we want to place our students, and basically we are IT staffing company, and we place candidates through our firm. So this is the main aim. So when we say that, we don't want you to fail in any wherever you are, like, resume preparation. We want you to be 100% up to the market, what it is required to be. And when it comes to interview or vendor calls, we want you to be ready, and we want you to be 100% ready for each and everything. When it comes to interview, when you go on a job. So we will train and we will teach you each and every aspect. When you go on a job, you will be ready like you are an experienced guy.
Okay. Just one more. When you say you're an IT staffing or a placing company, does that mean that if I go on a job to your company, then I'll be on W2?
Yes, it's up to you. We will, as I said, after the training, we will discuss with you one-on-one, and we will find out what you need. Since you are green card and citizens, most of the people here in this class, so I don't see any reason. It's up to you. We are ready to pay you on W2, or we can pay you on 1099. So even if you want to pay on, since you had your own business, if you want for saving some, if you will get some benefit if we pay you on your business name, we can do that. If you want us to pay on your name on 1099, we can do that. And if you want us to pay on W2, we can do that. So it's personal choice. We left on you.
Okay. Thanks.
And is there any other questions?
So I'm not in Texas. So would you to place say North Carolina?
So again, when I say we do get requirement, as I said, once we finish the training, we will discuss one-on-one with you what are your requirements. Like, okay, we have some students, like there are few students who are from Dallas. If they say we just need jobs in Dallas, we will do that. We will try our best to place you on your own preferred location. And there are some cases where students say, okay, location doesn't matter to me. All that matter is I need to get on job as soon as possible. In that situation, we will based on your personal choice, we will do. If you need on your preferred location, we will try to find. The only difference is if you are open for more location, your chances of going into job will increase very quickly. If you prefer to stay on some particular locations, then you need to be kind of a little bit patient. So it might be a slow process.
Okay. Thank you.
I hope there is no more questions. If you have any questions, let us know. Or as I said, I will send you an email with how to register. As I said, we have to pay a fee. Whatever way you want, you can pay on, transfer, online transfer, or you want to deposit on the bank, or you can pay through PayPal. So we do give different options based on that. you have to register before that next Sunday, I would say. And let us know how many of you are seriously interested in joining, so I can count on you.
Okay.
Okay.